My name is Daniel Reeves. I'm 41 years old, and I've lived in Seattle my whole life, long enough to learn that people can smile at you with the same mouth they use to lie. Long enough to understand that trust isn't something you give. It's something you lose slowly, like blood from a wound you didn't notice at first. I met Emily 6 years ago at a charity event my company sponsored. She was standing near the balcony, looking at the skyline like she was reading something only she could see. I remember thinking she looked steady, grounded, like the world couldn't shake her no matter how hard it tried. For a long time, that's who she was to me, my calm place. The woman I thought I'd grow old with. The person I believed would never choose chaos over loyalty. I was wrong. The first crack appeared 2 months ago. Not a screen, not a fight, not a confession, just a look she gave her coworker, Ryan Cola, senior project manager at her firm, a man I'd barely paid attention to before that day. He was younger than me, but not by much, stylish in a way that tried a bit too hard, the type who laughs too loudly at his own jokes and makes everyone else feel like they're supposed to join in. We were at a small after-work gathering something Emily insisted we attend because team bonding matters. I didn't mind. I like people in measured doses. But then I saw it. She touched his wrist. Not intentionally. Not flirtatiously. More instinctively, like her body was responding before her mind caught up. That moment lasted maybe 1 second. But it rewired something in me. Because you can fake words, but you can't fake instinct. Later that night, while she slept beside me, I replayed it in my head, trying to explain it away, trying to give her the benefit of the doubt, trying not to be the paranoid type, but instincts don't lie. People do. The real confirmation didn't come until a week later. Emily had left her work laptop open on the kitchen counter. Not intentionally. She trusted me too much to hide anything, at least at the start. A message popped up from him. It wasn't explicit. It wasn't romantic, but it was wrong. Thanks again for the talk. I needed that today. I don't know what I'd do without you. I remember staring at those words, feeling something in my chest tighten, not anger yet, but something colder, something slower, something that knows it'll bide its time. She walked in a minute later, humming lightly, holding 2 mugs of tea. I didn't ask about the message. Not yet. Because I wanted to see how deep this hole went. Over the next few days, I watched her patterns shift, the late-night project deadlines, the soft smile she tried to hide, the way she flinched when her phone buzzed. Emily had always been a terrible liar, which made this both easier and worse. The moment I knew for certain came on a Thursday night. She stepped outside to take a call. I followed quietly, standing near the hallway where she couldn't see me but I could hear everything. Her voice wasn't guilty. It wasn't nervous. It was soft. Soft in a way she hadn't used with me in months. She told him she missed him. She told him she couldn't stop thinking about him. She told him she wished things were different. And that was the moment something inside me cracked cleanly, silently, like ice splitting under weight. I didn't confront her. I didn't storm outside. I didn't say a word. I just walked back to the bedroom, sat on the edge of the bed and stared at the floor. And that's when something else clicked into place. I wasn't going to beg. I wasn't going to argue. I wasn't going to scream. I was going to end this the way I do everything, with precision. Not out of rage, but out of clarity. Because there's a special kind of revenge reserved for people who take advantage of your kindness. You let them keep digging until they bury themselves. That night, as she climbed into bed beside me and pretended everything was normal, I made a promise to myself. I will take back everything she took from me, piece by piece, quietly, without mercy. And when I was done, she would understand exactly what it feels like to lose the one person who was ever truly on her side. Emily didn't notice the shift in me right away. People rarely do. They're too busy maintaining their own lies to see the silence forming right beside them. For the next week, I played my role perfectly, almost gently. I kissed her forehead in the mornings. I asked about her day. I cooked dinner when she was too tired after work. She thought I was clueless, or worse, she thought I trusted her enough not to question anything. Good. Let her believe she still controlled the narrative. Because wow, she floated deeper into her fantasy with Ryan. I was building something much more dangerous. A map. A map of her lies, her movements, her weak points, and his. I started small. A simple check of her car's mileage. It didn't match her claimed commute, not even close. Then I logged into our shared phone plan, something she had forgotten existed. Her call history told a story she never would have confessed to voluntarily. Hours spent talking to him. Late night calls after she thought I was asleep. But what caught my attention most wasn't the frequency, it was the timing. She always called him when I was at the gym on Wednesdays, when I met clients on Friday evenings, when I visited my brother on Sundays. She scheduled her betrayal with the same precision she used to organize her work files, almost admirable in a tragic way. I kept digging. Her laptop browser history, her cloud storage, her work calendar. I wasn't searching for proof. I already had that. I was searching for leverage. Leverage is cleaner than anger. It lasts longer. It hits harder. 2 weeks into my quiet investigation, I caught my first real break. Emily had a private folder in her work drive, one that wasn't named suspiciously but didn't fit her usual system either. I wouldn't have noticed it if I wasn't studying her structure carefully. Inside were screenshots, photos, messages. None explicitly intimate, but intimate enough, the kind of things HR departments view as unethical relationships between coworkers, the kind of things that could get her fired. And him? That's when I realized something important. She wasn't just cheating. She was risking her career, her reputation, her stability. For him, of course, people in affairs convince themselves they're in control right up until the moment they lose everything. I copied the folder, backed it up, encrypted it, not because I planned to use it immediately. No, revenge only works when the other person doesn't see it coming. I needed to wait. And the perfect opportunity came sooner than expected. The Emily came home one evening wearing a new perfume, one I hadn't smelled before. Something floral, subtle, romantic. Not for me. She cooked dinner, trying too hard to act natural. And halfway through the meal she said, "Daniel, my company is hosting a team appreciation night next week. Spouses are invited. I think it could be nice for us." She couldn't even look at me when she said it. Why invite me? That didn't fit her pattern. Then I realized she wanted to show everyone that everything was fine at home, that she wasn't doing anything wrong. People love the illusion of innocence almost as much as they love the thrill of betrayal. I smiled. Of course, I'd love to go. Her shoulders relaxed too much. She thought this meant I suspected nothing. Perfect. The preparations next day, I visited the building where Emily worked. I knew the security staff there. They'd seen me enough times during her last project launch. I wasn't there to confront anyone. I was there to observe. I watched them through the lobby glass as they left for lunch. Emily and Ryan, walking too close, talking too softly. Her shoulder brushed his arm, and he didn't pull away. I took a few steps back so they wouldn't see me, and I watched them laugh. It was a strange moment because instead of anger, I felt confirmation, almost relief. They weren't careful. They weren't smart. They weren't hiding well, which meant they were easy to destroy. Later that night, while Emily showered, I went through her purse, not to find something, to confirm something, a lipstick shade she didn't wear around me. A receipt for lunch for two, a hotel QYCARD. Not for a room, but for the hotel's co-working suite. Neutral territory, private enough, cheap enough, convenient enough. I put everything back exactly the way it was. Then I sat at the desk, opened my laptop, and began assembling what I needed. Timestamps, photos, messages, inconsistencies, calendar. Overlaps, the HR flagged folder. The keycard receipt, the lunch receipt, call logs, location. His diet looked like an investigation file, because that's what it was, and just as I finished organizing the final folder, I heard Emily step out of the bathroom, humming softly. I closed the laptop, turned off the desk lamp, and walked toward the bed, already knowing exactly how the next phase would unfold. Not yet, not at the work event, not until she felt completely safe. Only then would I pull the ground out from under both of them. Gently, quietly, irreversibly. People like to believe they're good at hiding things. Emily was no exception. For weeks she'd been acting as if her world was perfectly stable, like a glass balanced at the edge of a table. But I saw every tremor, every crack, especially the small ones. The night before the corporate event, Emily suddenly became overly attentive, pressing my shirts, asking whether her dress looked good, laying her hand on my chest a bit longer than usual. It wasn't love, it was fear. People who cheat often try to compensate, polishing the surface so no one notices what's rotting underneath. I let her. I needed her calm, relaxed, unaware. About an hour before bed, she approached me hesitantly. "Are you sure you want to go with me tomorrow?" I smiled. "Emily, I already told you." "Yes." Something flickered in her eyes, a quick, thin line of panic, a shadow that only appears when someone suspects their secret might collapse right on top of them. I didn't show anything. I touched her hand lightly and kissed her temple. "It'll be a good evening," I said, and silently added, "for someone, at least, it will be unforgettable." The venue was high-end, a rooftop restaurant in a business tower, floor-to-ceiling windows, expensive lighting, that kind of music people choose not because they enjoy it, but because it signals we're doing well. Emily wore a black dress I'd seen only once before, in a photo from one of her corporate presentations. A photo where he stood beside her. Coincidence? Hardly. We entered together, but within seconds she drifted half a step away, instinctively, close enough to look like a couple, but not too close. Then I saw him. Ryan stood by the bar with a glass of white wine. Perfect suit, perfect hair, perfect self-confidence. But when he spotted us, something flickered across his face, a slight drop in his smile. And that was the first satisfying moment of the night. Emily began introducing me to her colleagues with forced warmth, the kind people use when they're trying too hard to convince others their life is perfect. I played my role quietly, confidently, the husband who suspected nothing, but things shifted the moment I accidentally ended up beside Ryan. He extended his hand, polite, steady, but his fingers were tense. "Daniel," I said, holding his handshake just a second too long. "I've heard a lot about you." A small tremor ran through him. "Barely there, but real. And I've heard about you," he replied. I leaned in slightly. "I bet not all of it was true." A soft, precise strike. "Not to the fact, to the nerve." Ryan looked away. Emily appeared beside us a bit too quickly. "All great. You two met already," she said. "Great. A word people use when internally everything is burning." The cracks show after the first hour. Emily was visibly nervous. She kept checking if I looked at her and Ryan. Her smile didn't reach her eyes. Ryan, on the other hand, was losing that polished confidence. His fingers kept sliding over his phone, checking if she texted, checking whether everything was under control. It wasn't. While the HR team prepared a short presentation, I pulled out my phone and sent Emily a single file. Just one. A screenshot from her hidden folder. The message she sent Ryan, not the sexual one, the intimate kind, the dangerous kind. "With you I feel alive. Daniel will never notice. He's too busy with his own world." She read it. Her face went cold, not pale, not shocked. Cold. Ryan noticed her reaction from across the room. He straightened immediately. When she finally lifted her gaze toward me, our eyes met, and I smiled. Not cruelly, not victory, just calmly. The way someone smiles when the first domino finally falls. The thing about truth is that it's quiet. It doesn't explode. It leaks slowly, steadily, until everything built on lies begins to sink. And that night, at that polished, overpriced corporate rooftop. I watched Emily and Ryan start drowning without me lifting a single finger. The moment a room shifted, Emily didn't move for several seconds after reading the screenshot. She just stood there frozen, like someone who suddenly found themselves on a stage with every spotlight pointed at them. Her hands were trembling slightly. Not enough for anyone else to notice, but I saw it. I always saw everything. She glanced at Ryan again, and Ryan saw everything on her face. He didn't know what I sent, but he knew it wasn't good. He started walking toward us, too quickly, too directly. People noticed. Heads turned. Emily whispered sharply, "Daniel, please don't," but I stepped back casually, giving them space, giving them an audience, because this wasn't revenge. This was revelation, and they were about to reveal themselves without my help. Their first mistake, panicking in public. Ryan reached Emily, gripping her arm just a little too tightly. "What did he send you?" "He hissed." Emily whispered something I couldn't hear, but I didn't need to. Her expression told me. "He knows, and Ryan's told me." "You idiot. You left evidence." They tried to look normal, but people around them were already watching. "You can't hide panic. It spreads like smoke." Emily attempted to drag him aside, but Ryan was unraveling too fast. He raised his voice. "You said he never checked your phone." A few heads turned. Emily clenched her jaw. "Lower your voice. Did you lie to me too?" More heads turned. Emily looked like she wanted to disappear. I stood at the bar, silent, sipping water like it was whiskey, watching the cracks widen. The second mistake, trying to blame me. 20 minutes later, Emily came rushing toward me, her eyes red. "Daniel, can we talk? Please." I didn't look angry. I didn't look betrayed. Just calm. That scared her more than any confrontation ever could. She pulled me aside into a quieter hallway. "Daniel, listen," she began, voice breaking. "I know how it looks, but it's not. It's exactly what it looks like," I said softly. She flinched. "Please, don't ruin my career because of this." So there it was. Not "I'm sorry," not "I hurt you," not "I destroyed our trust." Just fear of consequences. Fear for herself. She grabbed my arm gently, trying to bring softness into the moment. "What do you want?" she whispered, like a negotiation. "Tell me and I'll fix this." I stared at her. "You can't fix something you were planning to leave behind." Her breath caught. For the first time, she understood. This wasn't about me chasing them. This was about me stepping out of their way, letting gravity do the rest. The third mistake. Ryan snaps while Emily spoke to me. Ryan approached from behind, full of anger, jealousy, adrenaline he didn't know how to control. "Is this what you want?" he snapped at her. To go crawling back. Emily spun around. "Ryan, stop." Some colleagues watched now from a distance. Ryan pointed at me. "You're pathetic," he said. "Walking around pretending you're calm. You think you're better than us?" I looked him dead in the eyes. "No," I said. "Just smarter." Something inside him broke at that. He took a step toward me, fury in his face, and the manager rushed between us. Hey, not here. This is a company event." Ryan tried to shove past him, but the manager held him back. Emily looked horrified. "And then, the coup de grace," the manager asked quietly, "Are you drinking, Ryan?" The room went silent. Ryan had been drinking. He wasn't supposed to. Company policy was strict. And more importantly, HR was watching. That was all it took. One spark, one moment, one consequence. When everything began to fall apart, security took Ryan aside. The manager apologized to guests. HR whispered among themselves. Emily's boss approached her. "Is everything all right?" Emily forced a smile. "Yes, just a misunderstanding." But her boss wasn't convinced. "You know we take employee conduct very seriously." Emily swallowed hard. Behind them, Ryan was being escorted out. Emily looked at me like I'd just burned her world to ashes. But she was wrong. I didn't burn anything. They built a house out of lies. All I did was remove my support beam. Gravity did the rest. People think revenge is loud. They imagine shouting, confrontations, violence, chaos. But the most devastating revenge doesn't roar. It whispers. It unfolds slowly, quietly, without a single scream. And that's exactly how their world collapsed after that night. The morning after the party woke up before sunrise. Not because of anger but because of clarity. I brewed coffee. I opened my laptop. And I started deleting every shared playlist. Every folder. Every photo. Every message thread. Every tiny digital piece of evidence that she ever existed in my life. Not because I hated her, but because I finally understood the weight of someone you can't trust. And I didn't want to carry that weight anymore. When I stepped outside, I felt lighter. Not healed, but lighter. By noon, the first shockwave hit them. Ryan's downfall, quieter than expected, suspended him that morning. Not because of me, not because of Emily, but because half the event had witnessed him lose control. The company had been looking for an excuse. He was already on thin ice, arrogant, disrespectful, sloppy work. Emily had always covered for him, but that night, she couldn't save him. Not from HR, not from himself. He called Emily nonstop. Messages flooded her phone. I didn't see them. I didn't need to. You can feel when someone is panicking. By evening, he was officially terminated. Emily's slow unraveling. Emily didn't lose her job. At least not right away. But something in the office atmosphere shifted around her. Whispers, side glances, questions disguised as polite concern. She had always been the calm, composed, responsible one. The one who kept things running smoothly. But that persona couldn't survive the cracks. She started making mistakes, small ones at first. Emails with missing attachments, conflicting instructions, misplaced documents. Stress corrodes people from the inside. And Emily was corroding fast. 1 week later, her boss called her in. I wasn't there, but I knew how it went. A performance discussion that wasn't really a discussion. A warning that wasn't really a warning. Emily came home that day looking like a ghost, and she finally texted me, "Can we talk?" I didn't reply, not out of spite, but because talking to her was no longer my responsibility. When the truth began to spread, people talk. People notice. People connect dots even when no one spells them out. And the people who had seen the scene at the company event, well, corporate gossip doesn't die. It multiplies. The story twisted, reshaped, exaggerated. But the core remained. Emily lost control. Ryan exploded in public. And something between them wasn't right. I didn't tell a single soul what had really happened. I didn't have to. Silence was enough. Truth floats on its own. The final meeting 2 weeks later, Emily showed up at my apartment. She wasn't dressed nicely. She wasn't composed. She wasn't pretending anymore. Just tired, broken, fragile. "Daniel," she whispered, "I'm sorry. I never meant for any of this to happen." I believed her, but that didn't matter. She looked around the apartment, noticing what wasn't there: her things, her books, her little decorations. "Did you throw everything away?" she asked. "No," I said. "I just made room for a life that isn't built on lies." She broke down crying. Not dramatic, not theatrical, just quietly, painfully, like someone who finally understands the cost of their choices. She wiped her eyes. "Do you hate me?" "No," I said honestly. "I don't." "Then why?" She gestured around. "Why all of this?" I looked at her, really looked. "Because hate means I'm still connected to you," I said. "I'm not." Those words hit her harder than anything I could have screamed. She nodded, trembling. "I'll go," she whispered. And she did. She left silently, the same way she left our relationship long before I even knew. Aftermath: quiet piecing the following months. Ryan moved out of state. Emily transferred to another department. People eventually forgot the details, but the consequences stayed. And me, I rebuilt my life piece by piece. No drama, no spectacle. Just peace. A peace earned through truth, distance, and finally letting go. The world didn't give me revenge. It gave me closure. And honestly, that's the better ending.